Look at him. He's just dickered. Just dickered, boys. Son of a bitch.
Yo, yo. Class A, and macro. Not connected, not elected to participate. Bouncing down the stems will make your head hurt. Enjoy the takes. Says her whose head burns from hearing horror stories get burnt from gasoline. Won't be yet.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Take Her Wide, the podcast. This is episode 222. These episodes are brought to you by Heartbeat Hot Sauce. Heartbeat Hot Sauce is the newest sponsor, and they are based out of Thunder Bay. What can I say about Heartbeat is that it's a delicious hot sauce, first and foremost. It is made by my friend Al. He was on episode 221 just previous to this, and it's delicious. The peppers are fermented using traditional methods before being cooked with a few simple high-quality ingredients. They don't add water or thickening agents or chemical preservatives. It's super natural sauce, and Al is killing it with this sauce. It's super, super good. And if you were at the punk rock flea market, you would have seen them, and the winner, I hope you enjoy it. So go show them love. Go to heartbeathotsauce.com, and you can use the promo code TakerWide5 to get 5% off your cart. Trust me when I say this sauce is delicious, and you won't regret buying it. I 100% guarantee that. It's fucking super good. So all up to them. Also brought to you by Kevin Rigo at Hefner Toyota. Kevin is a salt-of-the-earth man. He supports the underground scene. He has always supported me and what I'm doing, from the band now to this. He's a doting father and husband, and just a straight-up good, real dude. If you're in Kitchener and you find Rigo there, the address is 3121 King Street East, and mention the show and you'll get special pricing on new vehicles. So if you're in the market for a car and don't know who to go to, I'd say go to Kevin out in Kitchener at Hefner Toyota. Also brought to you by Dapper Beard Oil. The one line that they have that I haven't really brought up, but it's a beard oil company, and I think this is fitting how he described it. It says, "We aren't a beard oil company selling to people. We are a people company which happen to make a damn good beard oil." And 100% it is a damn good beard oil. They've seen press in GQ and Huffington Post, and it's independent. It's just really Andrew and maybe one other guy. But if you want to support local-ish, and someone who's pursuing something that isn't your stock 9 to 5, I'd say go to dapperbeardoil.com, check it out, see what they have. And if you use the promo code TakerWide free ship, you'll get free shipping on your beard oil. So buy it for yourself or a friend and check it out. Also brought to you by Wellington Brewery. That's the beer supplier. They're Canada's oldest independently owned microbrewery. They craft award-winning beers in small batches using only the finest all-natural ingredients. And they had the Grisette, which is a table. Sorry, where did I put this? It's a traditional farmhouse style table beer. It was I was gonna say crafted. The Grisette was brewed by the Queen of Craft crew using 100% Ontario hops that were donated by Clear Valley Hops, and 25 cents from each can is going to be donated to Guelph Wellington Women in Crisis. So that's a really dope thing they're doing. It's really dope they're supporting me, so go buy Wellington. Delicious, delicious beer. Lastly, Dave Levitt Photography. Dave's been a supporter since day one, and if you're looking for a music video or a website, or you need someone to do wedding photos, he's a talented photographer with skills in video, and I know he's running his own sort of photography class in Cambridge now, the Royal Society, I believe, of Cambridge it's called. But if you guys have the time, go check out Dave's site, davelevittphotography.ca, show him some love on Instagram, and I think that's it. So before we get into the episode, this is a unique episode because what I did is I set up in Guelph at the punk rock flea market at Jimmy Jazz there, and I was amongst other small businesses, people selling stuff, and it was fun. It was my first one, and it was a lot of fun. And basically what I did is just pulled people at random and asked them questions that pertain to everybody who might be a fan of music. You get different answers, different perspectives on a few stock questions that I had to prepare that could easily be asked to someone, be it a musician or an artist or just anyone who might appreciate music. So it's a unique episode, but if you participated, thank you for taking the time and talking to me. It was nice to meet all you guys. And what else can I say? Oh, the contest. This Thursday is when it ends, and I'm going to draw at 9 p.m. But this is a contest to win 2 bottles of Heartbeat hot sauce. The Red Habanero, which is so good. I don't want to say it's their flagship. I won't make that term, but it's the first one I had. Super, super good. And also a bottle of the jalapeno. And get on it, man. Like, if you guys can go to Instagram, you can see the contest there, or Facebook. Go there. You can see the contest there, and just enter. It's easy. You just tag some people, like the page, or share the page, share the post. Very simple steps that you could do on your phone right now, and you will win. You know, your chances to win are there. Just win some free hot sauce. Couple steps, win some good stuff. So yeah, do that if you haven't already. But before, I guess that's it. Really, not before, but let's just get into it. This is Taker Wide at the Punk Rock Flea Market. So I'm here with Robin, right?
Yes.
Robin. And Robin has a booth here. So I guess, what are you doing here? Because there'll be people listening who might come today. If not, just you're doing tattoos, henna tattoos?
So I am doing henna tattoos primarily today.
Okay.
If kids show up, then I might set up my face painting.
Okay, cool.
My company name is Miss Kitty Face Painting and Entertainment.
Okay, cool. Sweet. Would you do my face? Like,
If you want me to, yeah. I just have to go get water.
No, it's okay. My beard's too gnarly. But
well,
yeah.
I have done somebody with your beard type
Oh, yeah?
as a lion, because the face paint goes right over the beard.
Sweet. Well, maybe later. My kid is coming. My kid's 3, and he'll be here later.
Prime face painting age.
So I have a couple questions quickly. What's a band that you still like now as you get older that you liked as a kid? That's surprising to you. Something like when you first got into music, it's like, I still like that band.
Great Big Sea.
Okay. How old were you when you kind of got into that?
Oh, like when they first came on the scene.
Okay.
So I don't remember, like very young.
And you're still a fan?
Very much, yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's a band that I never really got into. I guess it's not really my scene, but I can respect that they have been doing it for like 20 years or longer, I feel.
Yeah. Well, at this point, Alan Doyle's like kind of solo.
Okay.
They're doing a lot of solo stuff, but he has a great voice.
It's interesting. So, because you think there's bands that you get into when you're a kid that fall off, your tastes change because you're a kid, right?
Yeah.
But I guess those bands that are somewhat timeless are literally that.
I think that really depends. Like at that point, your taste is not your own.
True. As a kid?
As a kid, I think your taste is not your own. So it really depends on how good your parents' taste is.
Yeah, there you go. Interesting. So, what was the first concert you ever saw?
First one would have been Sharon Lois and Bram.
Okay. So you were really young?
Yeah.
And was it around here?
Would have been in Toronto.
Okay.
I don't remember much of it.
Okay. First one, though.
Yeah.
What about the last one you went to?
That's harder. I don't really go to shows very often.
Okay. That's fine.
Yeah.
I'm more curious to like people's beginnings too, because there's a story for everybody to be here right now. Like, it's a punk rock flea market, so punk rock and that ethic plays a role, and it was embedded when we were really young. So I always think of like the firsts, right?
I go to a lot of folk festivals, so
cool.
Like a lot of like Irish country, like that kind of thing.
Cool. What else we got? Do you have any tattoos?
No.
Okay. I always ask, not always, but I want to ask people today their worst tattoo
I
and
think I'm
why.
a rarity.
You are. My wife's the same. She
And
has
I
none.
do henna tattoos, so I actually get to change up my tattoos all the time.
Just it was a thing you never wanted to do, tats?
I really hate needles.
Okay, makes sense. Yeah, it definitely sucks getting tattoos. It's not rad. A couple more questions here.
Yeah.
These are just simple. I know you got to get back to your thing. Do you normally listen to podcasts?
My husband does a lot, so I listen to him listening to podcasts.
What are some good ones what are some that he listened to? Because I'm always, for me just personally, am trying to find new shows to get into. Or the themes that the podcast...
He listens to some political ones, and he listens to ones that are like cover basically like shows that he's watching.
Okay.
And he also listens to video game and like new media podcasts.
Okay, cool. The video game ones, like, does he listen to any speedrunning podcasts? You know that, speedrunning?
He used to. He's had to cut down because he has a wife now.
Okay.
And I take up a lot of his time.
I see. Okay, good. Last question would be like, it's kind of a broad question, but what does music mean to you personally? Is it a part of your identity? Is it a way to relax? Like, what is it, when you think of music, what do you think?
I think enjoyment of music comes through participation in music.
Okay.
So whether that's through dancing, singing along, really taking in the lyrics and finding meaning, or actually performing. So music to me is worship. Music to me is it's a spiritual activity. It's a community activity. So it brings people together, and it's a thing that we're often missing in our lives. Like, that's spirituality for a lot of people.
Wow, that's beautiful. Wow. Thank you, man. So, so how do people find your stuff? Is there a website or?
Yeah, so Facebook is best. Miss Kitty Face Painting and Entertainment.
Okay, cool.
And I think it's Miss Kitty Face Painting on Instagram.
Cool. All right, well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, cool. I'm here with Nick. Quickly, Nick, so do you play music or?
I don't play music.
No? Okay,
I organize events and I do not play.
Okay, there's a thing with like being a participant of music doesn't necessarily mean you have to play, like promoting, and so Nick is the guy who kind of organized this punk rock flea market tonight. So, but just quickly, man, so what was the first concert you ever saw?
The first like big one that I remember, I think, was Rancid when I was like 16, and so we got all the way to Toronto, and Lars had passed out in Montreal the night before, so we got all the way to Toronto, and then so excited, and then we found out it got postponed, so we had to like wait, like I think it was like 6 months for them to like reschedule
fuck.
it. But, yeah.
So what was that? I'm trying to think what venue. Rancid's been big forever.
Yeah,
I feel.
that was at the Cool House, like back when Cool House was still there. So yeah, it was like Rancid, Hostage Life, Big D and the Kids Table, and there's one other that I can't remember, but it was really really cool. And then, shortly after, that was like the only show I ever saw at the Cool House, and then like it closed down. I think it's condos now.
Huh? Was it? Do you remember, like? Did your parents drop you off? Because 16, you're not old, but you're not young. You know?
No, I think it was like my girlfriend at the time. Like her parents like drove us there, and then I think they drove us there twice. It's
so funny to think of like waiting in line.
Yeah.
Like, but that sort of when I moved to this area, the Trash I think was next door, somewhere around here.
Yeah, no, the Trash is
Is
Jimmy
there?
Jazz, it was where Royal Electric is now.
So I can remember that excitement of being like that. I was maybe like 20, but same thing. A lineup. I think I saw Dillinger and the Locust next door, and it's a thing that like sticks with you, right? Clearly, we're still doing this type of shit.
For sure.
So your band shirt, Strung Out. I've never really listened to them, but they're like a staple, right? They're like old,
they're like California like punk band. Like,
is it a band that you got into as a kid that you still like now?
No, I actually got into punk like later in life, probably like around when I was like 16. Before that, I just listened to like pop and like kind of shitty music.
Yeah. Well, we all did, I think, as kids, man. There's not very many people who actually had good taste as kids, right? Do you have any like tattoos? I always want to ask about the worst tattoo that people
I don't have any tattoos yet.
Is that a conscious thing, or is it you're just not like?
I haven't really been able to afford it, and then like I don't know. There's so many like artists I could go to, and I'm like I don't know. It's almost like there's like too much of like there's like too much choice, and I don't know what I want to get or like where or like by who. So
sorry, man. And it's I almost feel like it's weird because I'm kind of associated now with like the tattoo culture. Not that I really participate, but it's almost sometimes I feel like I wish I didn't have any tattoos.
Oh yeah.
So it's not like a good or bad thing. I guess lastly would be like, we're all here because we like music, punk rock, this and that. What does music mean to you personally? Like, is it a thing you escape to, or like, what is it?
Yeah, it's like kind of just like an escape, and it's like a thing to do. Yeah, it's just like a lot of fun, and
Do you think about
like quite a bit to me.
Without it? Like, let's say, what kind of person would you be if you didn't get into punk rock and go to that Rancid show? And like, it obviously holds a really important role.
Yeah.
You know, if you lost it, it's hard to say because it's like you couldn't really lose it unless you lose your hearing. So it's just a way for you to like be part of a community and.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's like a whole like community and like built around like people who have like the same interests as you.
Yeah.
And I think that's it's the same with like any other like sports too. Is like kind of similar to like music, except like music is a lot like especially if you're promoting, it's a lot less like extra like physical like exertion. Well, I mean, it's mental. It's more of like a mental thing and like. Yeah.
I hear you. It's worth the squeeze, though. I feel like I've been doing this for like 5 years, and it comes up a lot where it's just like I'm super lucky to have found this lane because I've met tons of friends, and it's a really important thing. So that's kind of the whole idea behind this, just talking about like, oh, music's rad, right? Like, yeah, it is. All right.
Yeah, it's so rad.
All right, cool, man. So actually, you have Pressed by Nick, right? That's your little business?
Yeah, so I make pins and yeah.
Yeah, actually, and I got a couple here, so people listening, just hit me up, and you could probably find them. But okay, cool. I'm gonna post this on Monday, so I'll just tag you.
Cool. Yeah.
Thanks,
that sounds good. Yeah. No worries.
Thanks, buddy. All right, what's your name, man?
Michael McGlennon.
Nice to meet you, dude.
You too.
Awesome. So, you're here. We're all here because music's rad, and it's a big part of our lives. So I always think we all made it here at some point, but we were all kids. Like, what was the first show you saw as a kid? The first gig you went to?
I went to see Bad Religion and Blink-182 when I was 12 with my mom.
Sick. Where was that?
It was at the then Molson Amphitheater.
Oh, sorry. Watch your back, bud.
I didn't know who Bad Religion was when I was that old, but they were really good.
So is like you have a cool mom? She's like, this is cool. You should go.
She's like just really understanding. Like, she didn't like the music at all, but I wanted to go, so she just wanted to make sure I was safe and I could go to a concert.
That's cool.
Kid. She even left me at a place and just pointed to a sign where she'd be, so like my mom wouldn't be shadowing me while I'm there.
Yeah. So you went by yourself?
I went with a buddy of mine from school. His parents didn't carry them.
Did you guys? That's so dope, man. Like, you think back to how cool that is. I'm a parent now.
It was awesome.
Yeah, fucking rights, man. That's cool. So what's a band that you liked as a kid that you still like now? Because our styles change, right? But certain bands.
Blue Rodeo.
Really?
For sure.
Sick,
yeah.
Man.
I still like Blue Rodeo.
Was that introduced to you through your mom, or was that a thing you found on your own?
My parents said that I just always liked it on the radio, like as a baby. I liked his voice or whatever, and I love that guy's voice, Jim Cuddy.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Do you play music, or do you You're in a band?
I was in a band called Bravery Cat, and now I just make like solo stuff. Yeah.
When you were a kid, like, how did you get into, like, did you play guitar, drums, or?
Guitar? My neighbor not stole, but like borrowed for months and months. His dad was a minister, and he could borrow the PA system. And he would play guitar like really loud, and I could hear him doing it, and Sweet. It just made me want to. I knew I could do it. Something about it. Yeah.
Hell yeah, man.
So I got one.
Yeah. Do you remember the first song you learned?
Damn it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Fucking awesome, man.
Really easy song.
Yeah. I feel those bands are important to allow. Someone said to me once that punk rock ruined music because
silliness.
It's kind of a weird statement because it enabled me to play. I didn't know, but up to a point you had to literally know music notes, notation, theory to be able to play. It was like a privilege. And then punk rock came, and you didn't really have to. But what that meant is kids could play.
Yeah.
Right? I could play, you could play.
And it kind of strips away the pretensions and stuff of it. But
yeah.
I went to lessons and stuff, but I like the aesthetic and like that anyone can do it.
Yeah.
It's a nice message.
It is, man. It's beautiful. Do your first gig? Do you remember your first gig?
The first times performing in front of people were all like Kiwanis Music Festival, like competitions.
Okay, cool.
And it made me really nervous. My first show with a band in high school, my music teacher would let different bands just have the music room at lunch, and you could put on a little show and people would come watch you. And that would have been the first one. We just played Smashing Pumpkins covers.
Which one?
I remember it was Zero, Bullet with Butterfly Wings, 1979,
Rad.
Like the hits, just
They're the hits, yeah.
Not
Rad.
today. He didn't. The singer didn't like today, so we didn't do that one.
Why? It's a broad question, but like, why for you personally? Why is music important to you?
I have no idea. I've read some good books about that. It seems to be like a sort of primordial drive when you get right down to it. There's a lot of people now that are thinking that music was like way before language. It's sort of got our brains ready to handle ideas like language.
Interesting.
So it's just this thing that like everyone, it's in you. I don't know. It's in there.
But what's like a book that you read that might kind of pertain?
This Is Your Brain on Music
Okay.
by Daniel J. Levitin.
I should write that
He's
down.
a Canadian professor, and Musicophilia is pretty good. It's by Oliver Sacks.
Okay.
He's more famous for writing, I think it's called The Man Who Thought His Wife Was a Hat or something. He's a behavioral
He
analysis.
died, right?
Oliver Sacks has passed away,
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
But Daniel Levitin's still alive, and I think he just wrote another book. I haven't read it yet.
Cool. Dope, man. Well, that's really it, man. This is what the show's about, just talking to people. So
Thanks so
here.
much.
Thank you, man. Here, let me just hit pause. So sweet. Here with Alberto. If people aren't familiar, Alberto, you're in Cambridge, part of the 3 Nines? No.
Yeah, 3 Nines more. I do more Sigma Beach record stuff,
Okay.
but yeah, pretty much like work for all the same guys.
We've bonded over the last couple bit because I see you at shows in Kitchener. I saw you guys play in Cambridge, and we're both like Latinos, so it's like,
Yeah.
like I love this man.
yeah.
But so quickly, man. What was the first gig you saw as a kid? The first concert?
First show, like local show or like
And
like
yeah,
any
local.
big like concert.
Let's
or,
say
like,
let's say both. Let's say local
Okay.
and then like first like big time gig.
I think the first concert I ever went to was like in 2007 when I was like 12 or something. I went to see Linkin Park,
Sick.
Taking Back Sunday, like a bunch of bands at this. It was called Project Revolution. It was just like a big like music show.
Yeah.
And like that was really sweet. Like because at the time like I was 12 and I loved all those bands. So. But that was really good, and then like from there, like I have an older sister, and she would like show me like she'd bring me to like Dead Beside the Y. That's where I kind of grew up in Cambridge.
Yeah, that's
going
right.
to shows there, seeing like metalcore bands and like heavier bands that like I was like into, but like it was cool to go to like actual shows and see that like bands around here are actually like playing that kind of music. Like there's people that actually like that stuff, so that was really cool.
When you were like that kid, how old were you when you went to Linkin Park?
Like 12. I was like 12 at the time.
So I just try to like relive that moment. Like, did your parents dropped you off and just like, we'll pick you up?
Actually, it was funny enough. It was actually my cousin that brought me. Like, that was into like the bands too. But he's like much older than me, and like he also like was like my stepping stone into music. Like he like showed me a bunch of bands like all over the place. Like I really got into Refuse through him. Like industrial music, like just all over the place.
He was cool.
Like yeah, just basically showed me like whatever like I wasn't aware of. Like he would like, oh, you haven't listened to this? Like you need to check this out. And, like yeah.
So do you like actually? That makes me think. Is there still a band you like as a kid that you like? Do you still like Linkin Park and stuff?
Yeah. Not as much.
Hey, whatever, man.
Definitely not. But like there is still like nostalgia, memories, and like things that I
listen to.
Like I still listen to. I can still like jam it every now and then. I'm into like different stuff now.
We all are.
We all are.
Like
yeah,
think
exactly.
when you're 12, you have a certain taste that's shaped by your older cousins or your friends, and there are bands that still stick with us to this day.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
So, I'm trying to think. What band do you still like from when you were like 12, 13?
Oh man, that's a good question. I never really thought about it. I think like I still like a lot of like post-hardcore from that age. Like Taking Back Sunday, I still love. Like, I don't even know.
Is Coheed and Cambria?
Coheed and Cambria, I used to really be into. Like the same thing. Like I can still listen to them, but like.
Because a lot of those bands we don't like as adults or as old as we get older. Like
exactly.
I went on a new metal last night. I got stoned and went down this new metal trail.
Oh yeah, I know those holes you're talking about.
Just realized like there's like none of these bands that I still like.
Yeah, that's
like
fair.
maybe Willhaven, which was of that era, or Deftones, which was of that era.
Yeah,
but
I saw Deftones not too long ago.
Sick.
Yeah,
I've never seen them.
Yeah. Oh really?
No.
Yeah.
Fuck.
No, they put on a good show. They're really good live.
I'm sure, man.
Yeah.
Fuck. Do you have any bad tattoos? Like your worst tattoo?
Tattoos?
Yeah.
Like I got this I got this movies tattoo.
Oh, word.
I got it in Jersey actually with a couple buddies. Like we just went to Jersey and we just wanted to get like Jersey tattoos. Like so we did it and yeah, that's pretty much like I have 2 tattoos. I got this other one like up. Oh, it's way up.
Way up. It's on his penis.
Yeah. Pretty much, it's just words. So
word.
But it's cool.
You know, what do you think about the like? And I'm gonna sound old here, but I see maybe younger kids with like only their neck and their hands done, and it's like, wow, that's real gnarly. That's quite a commitment as a first or second.
There's like this whole. Actually, funny enough that you say that. There's this whole like I don't know if it's trend now or what you call it, but like there's like this thing going on now with like SoundCloud rappers and like these guys are like getting their faces
and like
and,
script on their
hair,
eyebrow and shit.
Yeah, like hair, they're like curly hairs, like they're like ridiculous hairs with like dyed colors, and it's sweet. It's awesome. Actually, like I love seeing it, but it's like
it's not for me.
It's definitely not for me. I could not do it, but it is something.
Let's see what else I got. So what was the first gig you played? Was it like a high school gig? Was it covers?
First gig I did. I think I played like in like a couple like charity shows for like the music school I went to, like the music lessons.
Okay.
I would do like they would throw on like these shows. Thank you. They would throw on these like just charity shows, and like I would just cover songs.
Like what? Do you remember?
Oh, like songs, like Seven Nation Army.
Okay.
Trying to think of what else.
AC/DC maybe?
There was probably an AC/DC song in there, maybe like a Billy Talent song in there. Yeah, like.
It's awesome.
Yeah, just like, you know, stuff that like a 12-year-olds could play that could like get away with playing it to like their parents, pretty much. Yeah.
I guess last like we're here because we all like music, but what does music mean to you? What does it mean for you?
Oh, that's music to me is, for me, it's everything. Like I like growing up, just going to shows and then like playing shows. Like I've always been around music. Music's always been like my number one thing, my labor of love. And like as far as it means to me, like I don't know, it's just everything.
Like without it, could you picture yourself?
Yeah, I don't even know what I'd be doing. We've talked about this like many times before too. I would hope I'd be into like something else that I care just as much as about.
True.
But like I have no idea. Like music is, I don't know, everything.
Yeah, it's hard. I feel you, man. We had this almost the same conversation at that last house show.
Yeah.
And it's hard to picture without, and it's so crucial. At least for me to like identify as like I'm this.
Like I'm a very music person. I love everything about it.
And there's the aspects of it too, right? Like the label or like this here and hanging. There's a lot of extra shit that comes with playing your songs.
Yeah, there's a rad thing too about like just going to a show or whatever, and then like someone you don't even know, you talk to them about like little things like music with like bands you like or whatever, and then like there's like you like start a bond. Like actually like going to Snake Pit, like me, my buddy Nate, like we both did the label together. We started talking to a friend there, and then like we all like decided one day, do you play an instrument? I play an instrument, and so we've started like a band now, and like it's all like it came from like the ashes of Snake Pit, so it's really cool that we got to do it.
Yeah. I guess last question, because I haven't. You're the third guest, but people wear band shirts that are obscure. Like I don't think anyone knows who Dead Ranch here is. Like it's a certain specific little scene. But so Terry Green, they're from Mississauga.
Yeah.
Okay. And we played with them, but
you guys played the O'Brien's. I don't remember how long ago that was.
A while ago.
Yeah.
And you just got it at a show, at their show at the Snake Pit, or where'd you get that shirt?
This shirt, I think it was Snake Pit actually. I'm pretty sure I traded Lewis, the one guy in the band. Pretty sure I traded him like a beer and like $5 for this shirt.
What is it about them you like?
Everything. They're just so good. They're like a screamo, like old 2000 screamo, like very heavy, chaotic, but like with like insane technicality, just like mathy, like twinkly guitars, but not like I don't know. They're just awesome, and they're the sweet dudes. They're the nicest dudes.
Hell yeah, cool. Cool, man. Well, that's really it. I know, like, we could probably do one on our own at some point. Maybe
Actually,
we will.
could I actually promo something?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Do it.
We're actually playing with Terry Green July 19th with Ostraka and Respire. Ostraka's from Virginia and Respire's from Toronto. Like,
Okay.
And like it's gonna be an insane like.
Where is that? Sorry.
Screamo show. It's at Harmony Lunch. Harmony
In
Lunch
Toronto?
in Waterloo.
Waterloo.
Yeah,
Harmony Lunch.
it's in
Okay.
Waterloo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. If anyone's listening around then, this will go up tomorrow, so people will hear.
Okay, sweet.
And I'll just tag you. But yeah, cheers,
Yeah.
man.
Thank you.
Thanks, buddy. Okay, here I'm here with Andy, and just like I always intro it with this. We're here, right? We love punk. It's been a part of our lives, clearly. So what was when you were a kid, the first concert you went to? Like the first, like your mom dropped you off or something gig?
All right. Well, I've been to quite a few. I'd say like very first concert I'd say was actually in Guelph, just down the road here. It was Finger 11.
Oh wow! Holy shit!
Finger 11, and I won't really consider them punk, but I mean back in the day they were a little bit heavy.
Yeah.
And then from there I went to like some more punk shows, like a band called Mongoose.
Oh, you saw Mongoose?
Yeah, Mongoose.
Dude, I played with Mongoose.
You played with Mongoose. What was your band?
Well, I used to play in this band called Tugnut from Cambridge.
Tugnut. Oh yeah. I used to go to Tugnut shows all the time at this place in Cambridge called 69 Pickups.
Fuck. Wow, you know Mongoose, man. That's beautiful. I went out west and played with those guys.
Yeah.
I just saw the singer like last summer.
That is
so
insane.
crazy.
That is small world.
It is so small.
With 69 Pickups, which is I guess now it's called the Hopper.
Something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you were a kid and you saw that Finger 11, did you go with a bunch of friends? Did you guys mosh? Like, what do you remember from that show?
I remember I was only allowed to go because my older cousin was there.
Okay.
And so she's like, well, if your older cousin's going, then I suppose you can go too. And like I was super young at the time, so
like what, like 13 or something?
Yeah, like 13 at the time. And I want to say like their one album just came out with the song One Thing or whatever. So my parents heard that and they're like, oh yeah, okay, it's not that bad. But like I know them from their other stuff, which is a bit heavier.
Like Tip or whatever? Or?
Yeah, so stuff like that.
Did you know that they were another band before called the Rainbow Butt Monkeys?
Rainbow Butt Monkeys, yeah.
I feel like everyone in Canada knows that. Anytime I bring that up, people are like, yeah, I know that. Oh, sorry. Had to fix that. So what's a band that when you were a kid and like young and easily influenced that you got into that you still like now?
I'd have to say Misery Signals.
Okay.
When the album came out of Malice and Magnum Heart, that like changed everything for me because when I first heard The Year Summer Ended in June, like that opened me up into heavier and heavier stuff. And when I saw them live, it's just mind blowing. So,
cool.
Yeah.
Is this a band on your shirt?
No, this is the Bullet Club wrestling shirt, but
a wrestling shirt.
Yeah, Kenny Omega.
Is it like a local thing?
No. It's like Ring of Honor, New Japan Wrestling.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man, maybe I'm just more perceptive to people being into wrestling, but like a lot of my buddies are into wrestling.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of cool to watch wrestling again.
You know what? You might be right. I feel like there's this weird resurgence of it happening in that more and more of my buddies are like, yeah, I watch wrestling. Like, you watch wrestling? And they're like Instagram posting like, this big bout's coming. It's like, I didn't know this many people were still into it.
Now there's a wrestling themed band out there called Powerbomb. Powerbomb from Toronto. And I highly recommend them.
That's sick. Couple more here. Is there any... I have a bad tattoo. Everyone has a bad tattoo. Do you have like a bad tattoo that you're like, well, it is what it is? I can tell you mine.
I don't know if it's a bad tattoo, but some people, I'd say it's questionable. It's, if there's a show called Bob's Burgers.
Yeah.
And I have a beef squatch tattoo. So some people are kind of like
that's stupid.
Why would you do that? And with me, it was just like, well, I love Bob's Burgers, so I had to get it done.
I have a tribal, like, actually what it is, it's a tribal cross. And I was 17 because I'm like, well, I'm always going to be a religious man, so like this is going to be with me forever. And tribal's cool.
Yeah.
So that's the thing now I look back like, fuck. Whatever. It was a scrapbook. Last question would be, we're here because we love music. What does music mean to you personally?
Music.
It's a big question.
Yeah, it's a huge question. To really sum it up, it's an outlet for people, I have to say. Definitely. I mean, with me, I do a radio show.
Oh, word. What
called,
is it?
Anger Management Radio.
Okay.
So,
in here?
It's in like the Waterloo, Kitchener area.
Did you interview Mark from
From
Grubert?
Tugnut?
Or from Tugnut?
Ages ago.
Okay.
I've had Tugnut in the studio.
Holy shit! Really? I would have been there then.
You would have been there. So at the time, I think you guys were there. I just got my wisdom tooth out, and I thought I'd be fine by then, but I wasn't. I was in the hospital, so my dad did the interview.
Fuck.
And so you guys were there, and I was at home texting him questions like, ask them this, play this song.
Awesome.
But yeah, that
remember.
was way back in the day. I want
Wow.
to say like 2006.
Wow. So
Way
but
back.
it's an outlet for you. It's like
It's an outlet for a lot of people, I think. I mean, definitely, like, especially with the heavier stuff, like, it's a way for aggression. And I mean, some people, they don't understand the lyrics. But I find a lot, like, of hardcore, for example, like Stick to Your Guns.
Uh-huh.
One of my favorite bands, like, lyric-wise. It's a true outlet where they can talk about what's happening in the world right now.
Uh-huh.
I mean, ever since Trump, got elected, it's negative, but for a lot of people, it's a whole new opening in terms of punk rock for lyrics to get the aggression out, to say, like, this is what's happening in the world. Are you okay with it or not?
Yeah.
And they take it out musically, and it's an outlet for a lot of people, and for a lot of people too, it kind of saves them, to think that, there's other people out there going through the exact same shit I'm going through,
Okay, word. Yeah, like I feel it's special for a lot of people for a lot of different reasons, but it's obviously, we're here, man.
Yeah.
We're fucking here. Like, I don't need to be here. None of us need to be here, but we're here. So,
Yeah.
Cool. So what was your name again?
Andy.
Andy, yes.
yeah.
And you are?
This is Lexi.
Cool. All right, thanks, man. Okay, hi, I'm Steve.
Hi, I'm Brayla.
Rayla, cool. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
So, we're here because we love music, mostly. Of
course.
And what was the first gig you saw as a kid? Be it a big band or a little band? Like, for me, do you remember a band called C Spot Run?
Yes,
They're
I do.
like a Canadian,
I do.
I think they're still a band.
I think one of the first I saw as a kid, I saw Less Than Jake show with actually Good Charlotte when I was like 14 years old.
Where?
It was at Arrow Hall in Toronto.
Okay.
I don't think it's like near like the airplane hangars and stuff. I don't think it even exists anymore.
That was the first like big gig you went to?
Big gig, yeah.
What do you remember? Like, do you remember it being packed? Do you remember being scared? Do you remember?
No, I remember it being full, which was really cool. There was like totally different age groups there. There was some guy with a blinky jacket. It was so loud. I had a spike collar on, and I loved it. So, it's like, you're 14. It's like, all the misfits are here with me.
Did you grow up around here then, or what?
I did. I grew up in Guelph.
So like, yeah, I grew up in a super small town, and going to big time shows was terrifying and exciting and intimidating and like all those things. But yeah, I know that feeling of like strangers that you see are as stoked as you are.
Right?
Like, I don't know you, but you're stoked, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm
You're
stoked
weird.
too.
I'm weird. Yes,
Yeah.
we can do this. I think
Now-
that's like the punk rock mentality, right? That's why you're introduced to it as a kid, and you kind of find something you hold on to in it.
Well, that's a good segue, because I think of bands you get into when you're a kid, like 12, that a lot of them might be terrible, but some are good. Is there any bands that you still listen to now that you did when you were like a kid?
Rancid.
Rancid.
Yeah, they were like a huge introduction to punk rock for me.
Yeah, it's like
For sure, and I will still listen to Lars Fredriksson. Like Lars Fredriksson, the Bastards, come on. They don't have any more CDs out, but I will still listen to him.
Awesome.
On the regular.
I see you got a few tattoos. I have a terrible tattoo, maybe a couple, but it's like a rite of passage, I feel.
Yeah, it
and
definitely
I
is.
always love to hear of the first, and maybe the first. I feel like the first tattoos are generally the worst because you don't know. Maybe not for you, but do you have one that's...
I had one covered up that was horrible.
What was it, if I can ask?
I had whiskey violence tattooed across my shoulder in a stick and poke home done job.
Damn, gnarly.
No!
But that's kind of... I don't, again, like rite of passage. Like, it's just, you're a kid, you might not know any better.
Yeah, I definitely didn't know any better. Yeah, whiskey violence. Oh, that's so punk rock.
sick.
That's badass. Then I'm like, oh no, look, no, what did I do that for? Plus we were really drunk at the time. It seemed like the best idea.
But you got it covered up.
I did. I have like some old stick and poke like around my ankles still, but they're okay. They're down there. They're hideable.
It's so not a big deal. Like when I was in high school, you couldn't work at McDonald's with a tattoo.
No, same.
Now it's like I see kids with neck tattoos at McDonald's.
Yeah,
it's different.
I know, but that's McDonald's too. It's like if you're working in
yeah, I'm not talking about like CEO
like
of
corporate
Goldman Sachs.
jobs, maybe. But I think as long as they're hideable, they're still stigmatized a lot, but they shouldn't be.
Yeah.
I think it's showing your outsides inside, your insides outside.
Yeah, I feel I'm at the point where I feel less I feel less of an association with I guess the youth that have tats.
Yeah.
Because it's probably every older person thinking about the younger person. Like I realize I look like a kid who might be 17, but it's like when it comes to tattoos, I kind of think now it's like maybe I don't like them, but it's a simple.
Like them on kids or like them on yourself.
On
yeah.
me,
Okay.
yeah, you know?
So you're regretting your choices as a youth.
Some of them, but I put 2% of thought into it and then I move on.
Gotcha.
So do you play in a band?
No, I don't.
Okay,
No.
it's okay. When you it's okay. Whatever.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm still pretty cool, even though I'm not in a band. Thanks.
People who participate, be it playing music or going to shows.
I used to put on shows back in the day. We used to put on punk rock shows. We brought in when the Shadow was still in existence in Guelph.
Under the hotel.
Yeah. We used to have the Delinquents come to town from Toronto, Machine Gun Dolly from Ottawa, the Scullions, stuff like that.
Is it a thing that you still obviously? I actually forgot what the other people. You're a vendor here. You're selling stuff.
Yeah.
But is it a thing that you still are as passionate about now? The back end of it, like setting up, making your own DIY stuff.
Yeah.
Because when you're a
great.
promoter or when you're a band, like there's a lot of honeymoon stage when you start as a kid. Like this is so amazing. It's new. It's fun.
Yeah.
But as we're getting older and you don't see the return of money, it's harder and harder.
For
How do you
sure.
feel about that part of it?
The return?
Yeah, I guess, like being a music fan, but you also participate, but there's not much return.
I think it depends what you're financially return, but then is that why the only reason you're doing it for? Like, I have a lot of friends in band that are just bands that have a day-to-day job regularly that they go to, but music is their passion, their life. If they can't finance their home with it, they get another job and they make it work. It doesn't always be the full commitment you have when you're a kid, because when you're a kid you think, I'm going to make it big, I'm going to be this kind of person. It's like, it doesn't always work out for everybody.
Yeah, I feel
but
like
if you can still play your music and do your thing, I think if it makes you happy, do it. Like, this makes me happy to do stuff like that, like photography. I want to do it forever.
That's
if
great.
it doesn't work financially all the time, I do have another job.
True.
So if it makes me happy, do it.
Do you ever think about people who don't find something like this? Like, this is a creative outlet. This is a creative outlet.
Yeah,
All
exactly.
of this is. Do you know people who don't have that? And, like, what's your perception of those people?
I think, again, it really depends on. I know a lot of people that dive fully into work. I know a lot of chefs, and they kill themselves during their work, but you talk to them about food, and they'll keep talking about it and talking about it, and they love it. People that don't get a creative outlet, I feel they get a lot of pent-up stress, but then, maybe they're saving up, they go on vacation, and that's their outlet. That's their goal. I think most people have a goal in mind, and even if it doesn't sideline with something that we enjoy, they can find something
That's a good way to
that
put
is
it.
a release for them in a way. Some people are sex addicts or alcoholics too, right? I think everybody has
There's
their own
healthy
thing.
and unhealthy ways. Yeah, very
but
true.
there are healthier ways.
Yeah. Wow, yeah. I think about that because I feel privileged to do this. I think,
Yeah.
like, how is it for people who can't do this? But, yeah, fucking everyone has their own thing
Yeah,
that they're
just
doing.
because it doesn't match ours doesn't mean it's not something. Like, people think we're freaking weird. So,
yeah. Very
you
true.
know, that's cool. I think they're a little weird, but
Yeah, shit.
Hey,
so
man, it
I
works.
guess, last question would be music as a whole, what does it mean to you? What does it mean to you? Like, without it, how would you be? Like, why is it important to you?
it's energy. It's mood. You can, I can have a horrible day at work, like working in a restaurant. I put on a CD in my car and I belt it out on the way home, and I'm a million times better. I think it can change mindset. I think it can change thoughts, perception. I think music as a whole has a huge influence over people, whether it's pop stars, underground musicians. It's important and necessary. Without it, it's passion, man. Without passion, you'd be dead.
Yeah, there you
You gotta
go.
have something.
Oh, man. Awesome. Thank you, man.
Yeah,
Shit.
no worries. Nice to
Actually,
meet you.
yeah, what because I have listeners. So, do you have a website, or how do people?
Yeah, BraylaRosePhotography.com. I
Okay.
take weird, creepy photos and awesome boudoir pictures, so I make naked people feel comfortable.
Yeah, I'm looking right now, and it's definitely fucking like cool.
Thank you.
Like creepy cool. Cool. All right, cool.
Like to keep it weird, man.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Yeah, cheers. It's okay.
Usable.
All right, it's all good, man. There's pretty lowball questions. So I'm Steve, man. What?
I'm Nathan.
Nathan. Cheers.
Cheers.
Boom. I always start these little things with like, we're here because music's rad. I think that's why we're here, right? Music's dope. I said we're here because music's dope.
Absolutely.
Generally. So for you, you started as a kid and somehow you got into music. When you were a kid, what was like the first show you went to? Something that stands out, like that was a really important thing because that like set off something in my head that this is cool.
Well, actually, I'm from a really small town, so there were no shows until I came to this city.
How small? Like
well,
1,000 people?
Less.
Less.
Well, like, yeah, I lived in this. Can I swear?
Yeah.
I lived in this shitty, like, hick town, so the entire county is the same kind of people, the same kind of country drunks.
Word.
And so the only bands that played were 45-year-olds playing old rock and roll songs. So there was no music in my town. So when I came here, I came to this bar, and the first show I ever saw was a hardcore show with Ugly Mommy and Dragged In, and
oh shit,
they were both good, but Dragged In particular, because Ugly Mommy, the great performance, but the show Dragged In put on, the man came out and he was dressed like Henry Rollins, and he only had the shorts on, and at first I thought it was a little silly, but then he showed why, because the energy this guy put into his show. He kick-flipped off that wall, man. He ran up it and jumped off.
Those guys, I know those guys.
They're
Dragged In.
intense
They're from
guys.
Toronto.
They make excellent music. They give an unbelievable performance. And I think that show was because I aspire myself, like probably a lot of people here want to do live music myself, and that show really just solidified for me. It's like the catalyst that punk rock is not dead, and that I'm rambling, but it was an amazing show. The spirit is still alive. That's what really got to me. It blew me away. It was a once-in-a-lifetime experience for me.
Man, I grew up in a small town of like, it was like 1,200 people, but if this is Winnipeg and this is Thunder Bay, like right in the middle, so middle of nowhere. So yeah, so I know what you mean, where like when I was growing up, there weren't any shows. Like I had to drive 4 hours to a show.
Nobody knows what punk is where I'm from.
No, yeah, that's so fun. I know what you're saying. Yeah. Fuck. But those moments are really important because you realize like, oh, it's a thing that actually exists. It's not on the TV or on the laptop.
It wasn't just in the 80s. It wasn't just Ian Mackay. It was, I grabbed that guy, this roiling hunk of flesh and energy, and it was really a unique experience for me.
What's a band that you liked as a kid? Like 11, 10 or whatever, that you still like now? There's a lot of tastes that change, but something you could still listen to, like, be it nostalgia or whatever. It's like a good old, and not even old band, but like a band you liked as a kid.
I think, well, like the very first kind of mainstream taste of anything punk that I heard was Green Day, like a lot of kids. And for a while when I was about 11 or 12, American Idiot was like my anthem. Jesus of Suburbia was the greatest song I'd ever heard. And so every once and again, pop punk, that kind of thing, Weezer, Blink-182, that sort of early 2000s pop punk, I can still fuck with that. But I didn't really get into music until I started listening to folk punk. And Andrew Jackson Jihad was, I don't know if you know what they're...
No, I might have heard that name, but...
They're one of the like more prominent folk punk scene bands, and hearing them when I was like 14, 15 really changed it. It's cliche, but it changed my life. Like hearing that kind of music, and even though if I've discovered it now, I might think it was kind of juvenile, that they will always have like a place in my heart. They're one of my all-time favorites.
That's awesome, man. Everyone has those bands, though. That's the thing. Like,
absolutely.
I've been asking a few people this question, and you can see the hesitation. Like, well, it's not like a cool band, but that's a weird thing to be like cool bands, not cool bands. It's whatever it means to you, right?
Exactly. If you get caught up in trying to be cool, that's I don't really get that anymore. That's kind of like a high school thing. I don't know.
Yeah, it's so funny.
I want to make, like, it's music. It's honest expression. If it's cool or not, like, you're an adult, you know? I don't know.
Yeah, totally. I have echoes of that still, I feel, in my life. High school. Those weird, maybe because of the age we were at when you're in that weird melting pot.
It's formative years.
Yeah.
Modest Mouse. Childhood's what makes you.
Do you have a band shirt on or just a black shirt?
Oh, I only wear black T-shirts.
Okay.
I'm cool. No, fuck. Yeah.
Punk
I
rock,
don't know
man.
what- Yeah.
It's all good. There's a lot of people here. I'm just looking, and they have bands I've never heard of on their shirts. So
Is that a band shirt?
this is a band shirt. It's Dead Ranch. They're from Winnipeg.
Okay.
Sadly, we lost the guitar player singer last year, but they're like a noise rock band.
Okay.
Authentic, passionate. You should check it out, man.
I love noise rock.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably the peak for me.
Yeah, Dead Ranch, deadranch.bandcamp.com. So I guess last question would be, why is music important to you?
Wow. Music gives people what they're looking for that they can't find elsewhere in their life, I think. And I think what you said about high school, I mean, I'm not sure how old you are, but...
I'm 35.
You're 35. Well, shit,
old.
I'm sure you're completely over it, but the age I'm at now, 19, high school is still kind of like a formative experience for me. And so when you're that kid in school who... I mean, there's lots of different reasons for lots of different people, but when you're that kid that you can't find that kind of group or that acceptance or that whatever you may be looking for, music is a way of finding it. It's like your friends in your playlist. Shit, I'm too drunk for this interview.
No, man, it's fine.
But yeah, I think that... What was the question again?
Well,
what is music?
Yeah, it's why it's important, but
why is it important? Yeah.
I feel like so you're 19 and like freshly out of high school, and I was that same kid, and I am the same where I found it. It's like I found it. It's like, oh, how come everyone else isn't into this?
Where has this been all my life? Why isn't everyone else relating to this? Because that's what you've been looking for, and it's important to me because it gives a sense of direction that without it, you'd be a lot more aimless, I think. I think music is the thing, constructive, creative outlet that a lot of people who find it avoid going down worse, less direction, more directionless roads.
Perfect. That's amazing, man. Well, that's it. Just the 5 questions.
All right.
I'll shut this off here.
Man.
Cool. Hey, I'm Steve.
Hey, I'm Timothy.
Timothy, nice to meet you, man.
Yeah.
So, like I was just saying, music's cool, and it sticks with us for a reason. But I think of the history that everybody has with it, right? We're all kids. We were all easily influenced at some point. So I love to think back to like when you were a kid. What was like a first show you went to? For me, it was like a high school gig. This band that was on Much Music. So I was a kid like, oh, this is awesome. And they signed postcards, but I thought of it through their perspective. They're playing a high school to these kids who don't give a shit about them. You know, like it's cool they're on Much Music, but that was a real important moment, I feel like, for me as a music lover. So did you have something similar as a kid? Like be it a local or a big show? What was like a first sort of thing that sticks out in your head?
Of course, I remember it quite vividly. It was pretty memorable for me. I was seeing one of my good friends' brothers play in a band called Misled Youth.
Okay.
And they were opening for Bald Vulture, which was this Quebecois punk band. Didn't really know them too well. I was 10 years old. And me and my friends, this posse of like weird kids, we showed up to this place about a foot and a half shorter than everyone and like no facial hair, young kids.
Yeah.
And
was it here?
No, it was in Cowansville, Quebec.
Okay.
So like a little bit outside of Montreal, about 100K outside Montreal.
Okay, cool.
And you know, these young kids, right? We partied just as hard as everyone else there. We were a perfect weight and size for crowd surfing.
Oh wow, it was a biggish kind of show?
There was probably about 200 people there, right?
Enough to crowd surf.
Exactly. We just got people to help us out through it.
Wow. And like, so that to now, like, do you still go to shows now, or is it a thing like, because it's hard for me even to get out. Honestly, sometimes I'm really tired. Sometimes I don't have the money. So it's a point in time when we were kids that we could easily go to shows. But now, how is it for you? Is it harder to get out, or?
It can get expensive, and as you get older, the responsibilities start to tally up, I should say.
Yeah.
So
hard.
Getting out there is pretty hard, but you know, I'll go and make a point to see artists that I think will have a really like lasting memory for me. Like I got to see The Wire back in October.
Okay.
I'm pretty pumped. I'm gonna see the Pixies.
Oh wow!
Next month.
Wow. Yeah. So I feel there's bands that I will make an effort for because it is hard
staying
sometimes.
current with local scenes, that's pretty hard. But cities like Guelph, Hamilton, Toronto, Montreal, I kind of was a part of a bit of the scene there just because Bike Messenger and that culture runs deep with punk rock.
Yeah.
But staying current, that could be a full-time job, which I see that you're doing with Take Her
Trying,
Wide.
trying. It's funny because people will reference bands, and more I'm kind of like, fuck, I don't know that. And I play music. I play around here quite a bit, so I'm more stoked than anything that I see these younger kids like, oh, you're starting bands, cool. Because I felt like all ages shows are few and far between. Because I used to throw shows, and you were a kid, and I don't know, obviously it was an all ages show when you were 10 at that show. But someone kind of has to take the torch, and I like to think that it's still kind of happening. And we're here. There are still people who are enthused about punk rock DIY. They can still make it happen. It's an important thing, I feel, anyways. And for you, where does it in your life, where does music play a part? Is it still in the morning you listen to tunes, or where does music, what role is it in your life? It's kind of maybe a broad question, but
I mean, anytime, any place. But what it really does, it's inspiring. I really like the vitality of punk rock in particular, and that energy and that motivation just to go and express yourself. I kind of carry that into all areas, when I just need to get work done, or I just want to do something creative myself, or just feel alive, I'll put on some music and I'll let that kind of course through my veins for an album too. Who knows?
Yeah, it seems odd to be a passive music listener. Because I'll not obsess, but I'll look at the art and really kind of break it apart and take it and try to absorb it as much as I can. But I feel like for me, that's how you're supposed to do it. It's that's how everyone's supposed to. But a lot of people just might passively listen to stuff. I do too.
Oh, yeah, I think we're all guilty of that. Sometimes just put on the classics or bands that are easy. They're kind of just quick musical thrills.
Yeah.
But active listening, that takes a lot of effort, right?
It does, and it's harder and harder to do. But this is something that, this whole show is just almost to celebrate it, right? To celebrate that I don't know you, but we can have a conversation about music. I play and I tour, and I went to Japan once for 10 shows, and obviously there's a huge language barrier, but at the same time I was getting drunk with these Japanese kids talking about how Motorhead rules, only in Motorhead, yeah, Motorhead, and it's just this is amazing. It's such a connection. You don't even need to speak the same language. You can get stoked on music no matter what it is, right? I think that's how I can have a conversation with you right now. I don't know you, but
we're on the same wavelength.
Yeah. All right. Cool, man. Well, that's kind of it.
Those were the 5 questions.
Well, okay. I have one that says, "What's your on your shirt if you have a band shirt?"
I don't have a band shirt on me. Literally, okay, this is a podcast, so they're just hearing my voice or hearing my stories. But I'm dressed like a prep right now. I've got a V-neck Gap Essential. And,
you put yourself together well.
And
fine.
Yeah, I've got some rolled up boat shorts.
Whatever, man. Doesn't make you less punk rock.
It's 2018.
Yeah. There's people can do what they want, but I'm slowly more I like clothes that fit, and I like having a nice haircut. I don't know what it is, if it's age or what, but that was one of the questions. I have a shitty tattoo that I regret. Do you have a shitty tattoo you regret?
Oh yeah, I've got a terrible one. It's the only one that I have. I have a triangle, a fucking triangle, right? I was pretty self-aware when I got it, I got it when I was 18, which was a long time ago. So I got it in my first year of uni.
Okay.
And it was one of those moments where I kind of have a big plan in mind where I want to kind of get tattoos to mark times in my life.
Okay.
And, first year of uni, 18 years old, I want to do something that I'd kind of regret. I want a shitty tattoo that I regret.
Okay.
And triangles are really trendy. So I got that, and it's basically just always a reminder to not take yourself too seriously and say yes to things, experiment, and enjoy being young. But people look at me what's the triangle represent? And that's really wordy to get into, and it's kind of a bullshit thing to talk about too. It's a little bit pretentious, perhaps. My parents don't get it, and I've had that conversation with them. So I just tell them I wanted a bad tattoo, and I feel no one gets that because people like to make rational choices. Maybe not punks, but for the most part.
Well, that's funny, man. I feel at least for me, part of the punk aesthetic is that not caring, even where I can apply it to tattoos. Like, I really don't care. If it looks decent, it's fine.
Yeah, what's your bad tattoo?
I have a tribal, even that tribal, but it's a cross, because when I was 17, I was like kind of a religious kid, and I was thinking like, I'm edgy, right? I'm gonna get a tribal cross tattoo because I'm always gonna be religious. So it's like I'm not religious at all anymore, and I have this like fading, shitty tribal tattoo that's in kind of like prime real estate. But it is what it is, you know.
It's aging like fine wine, I'm sure, man.
It is, man. It's in a way I'm proud of it. It's like I was young and an idiot. I guess it's a good reality check. Like, yeah, I don't always know. Even at this age, I don't know everything. I still get bad tattoos, but yeah, so you play music too? Did I ask you that?
I've been playing guitar. I was a singer for a band in grade 6.
Sick. What was it called?
One More Thing. We didn't have a drummer.
That was the one more thing.
Yeah. But we were really bad, and I never got good. And I'm still playing acoustic guitar right now, very, very badly. I think my roommates right now, we're talking about turning our garage that we just found that we had access to into a jam space.
Cool.
And they keep bringing it up to me because I think they're sick of hearing me try to play the guitar. But yeah, I love it. I appreciate it. I wish I could do it.
Well, you can do it. It's just a version of like, where's your bar of like good enough, right? Like I've been playing drums for like 20 years, but I'm still like at that, like I'm still not good enough, you know what I mean? So it's really wherever you set the bar. You start a band, man. Fucking start a band, and then in a year I'll have you on the podcast. I'll be like, so how was the recording process?
You know, like some of like the musicians in my life that I look up to most, that's what they always say too. You know, of course there's musicianship that can go, and you know, you can appreciate an artist like that. But the thing about punk rock, it's the vitality of it. It's the energy. And you know, one of my buddies, he's gone and told me that it was really wise words, that he would rather see someone struggle with an instrument but give a fucking good performance, just his heart in it, than just see someone go and recite something perfectly. Character is everything. Imperfection is the secret to perfection.
Wow, that's a great way to close that, man. Yeah, shit.
It was a pleasure talking, man.
Yeah, let me just close this up here. So, shit, your name was?
I'm Evan.
Evan, okay, I'm here with Evan. And I've repeated this too many times to do it now for the show, but I'll do it one last time. We're here because we like music, right?
Yeah. We're here, well, that and local cool shit.
Yes,
that's
the
other
true.
thing.
Yes, supporting local.
That's pretty punk.
100%. And at some point we were influenced to start liking music and to be, you know, out of our teens or early 20s or whatever, the path of potentially becoming like older people with tattoos that still listen to Black Flag or whatever. Yeah. But at some point you were a kid, so I'm thinking of a first concert that was influential for you, like a big gig when you were a kid. Like, what comes
like one
to
of my
mind?
own, or the show that I went to.
Show you went to.
Okay, so the show that I went to that I think really kind of cemented my kind of love for punk and that would have been I went to a Rancid MXPX show.
Okay.
Which was I was still a Christian at the time, so MXPX was the punk band.
Yes. Oh, yes, that's right.
Yeah, and they're like they're one of the weird Christian punk bands that's really accepted in the punk community.
Yeah, crossover kind of.
Yeah, and then I'm a huge Rancid fan, and so it's just you know, when you get to see people just play with that much passion, and you know, it's nothing's that complicated about it. Nothing's really but people just. You just kind of felt like they were playing to a community, and I was all of a sudden part of it, and that's really cool.
I think a cool part too, when at least I was a kid, was seeing bands in real life. Because like I had pictures of bands I liked and saw like LimeWire downloaded videos, and then to see them in person, it's a weird it's like more of a reality that this is actually a thing.
Live music is always like so much more engaging. Just because like even if you don't really particularly like the band, you might like seeing them live just because it's so enthralling to watch somebody perform, right?
Yeah, very true. Especially like aggressive punk, metal, whatever. They're like real. It's not that it's more real than other music, but as a kid, I feel like it just connects easy. Like it's like violent in a way.
When I think when you're young, you're really passionate, and you know, sometimes you don't even know why you're passionate about things. You're not really analyzing them. But punk is just a really
vicious, passionate, kind of fuck you to authority, fuck you to everything. And a lot of, especially teenage years, a lot of people feel that. So it makes sense why, especially this kind of young teenage anger connects with punk. And it just so happens that not everybody grows out of that, you know?
Right? Yeah. Well, now how does it play a role for you now? Like, are you more like still kind of, I wasn't really a punk guy, so I don't know what to call like Rancid or MXPX, but your taste from then, when you were a kid, to now, how has it kind of evolved, or is it still kind of the same?
A lot of my stuff, a lot of the music that I really like really comes from the songwriting of it. I'm a big poetry guy, and so it's really fun to analyze what people are saying and how it's being said. And punk just happens to have a lot of really good songwriters, especially the folk punk community and stuff like that. Like, you know, you see guys like Jeffrey Lewis, or even into the kind of alternative punk stuff like Me Without You. And
yes. I've played those guys on the show once. I didn't talk to them about Me Without You. Yeah,
they used to be. They were like a quote unquote Christian band.
Really?
Too. Yeah, they were on a Christian label for a while. And but then they kind of came out. They're like, we're not a really, Christian band. Yeah.
And like 1 or like 4/5 of their audience disappeared. I feel like those MXPX or those Christian-rooted bands. I always wonder when they might. Like when they say we're not really identifying as a Christian band, how many people like, I don't like them anymore, which is weird. It's like, yeah, you could still like them. Like maybe their message is still positive. Maybe they aren't, like what defines them as a Christian band, right? I always wonder that when they step away.
I think one of the worst things to happen to a lot of Christian bands is being labeled as a Christian band. And because first and foremost, they're musicians, and I just think that art surpasses religious belief and things like that. I'm sure the vast majority of religious people would disagree with me. But I think you're putting yourself into a box then, and you're not allowing your artwork to speak for yourself, because when you're pushing art, you're pushing ideas, you're pushing things. You're not pushing just religious virtues. Religious virtues may come out with that artwork, but I think that's secondary. I look at, Switchfoot's Nothing to Lose album. It's a great album that deals with the loss of something and loss of belief, or still trying to find where belief lies in pain. And it just so happens to be that's from him having struggled with his faith of Christianity, right?
Well, it's I think I guess there's an authenticity to whatever anyone's doing, even if it is like maybe a Christian band. They could still be authentic in their art. And it's maybe a shame that people might just be like, well, they're not Christian anymore, I don't like them anymore.
Well, yeah, I think no matter what, as a musician, your job is to just push out artwork. And you're right. There's some people that will just be like, I identify with this because it's good Christian values, and therefore I can listen to it because it's a Christian band. Yeah, some people might leave because of that, but that's not your job to make sure that they're sticking around.
Word, 100%. Yeah, I hear you, man. I hear. So you play music, you said?
Yeah.
And what was your first gig that you played? Where was it, and describe it?
Oh, man. I think I played a Battle of the Bands when I was 16. I was in kind of just a garage rock band.
What'd you guys cover?
We played mostly originals, but we ended up doing a cover of Hurt, the 9 Inch Nails, that was covered then by Johnny Cash.
Okay, yep.
So that was a weird one. He's like, hey, what's the most iconic song somebody has? I'm gonna butcher it. Yeah. So, yeah.
So was it the first gig? What went wrong? As far as I feel like as a kid, I don't mean to I don't want to say assume.
I mean, I do suck, so it's fine.
No, but as a kid, my first gig, a ton of things went wrong.
Oh yeah. You miss some chords, you sing the wrong parts sometimes, you jumble up words, but you just kind of gotta try to keep on trucking through it. I mean, that's the first lesson of your first gig, is that no matter how bad things kind of fuck up, you just gotta keep on going. Otherwise, people notice.
Totally. I remember one of the first gigs, like early on, I was borrowing my buddy's bass cab, and it was at the high school, and the curtains opened up, and I had like face paint on and like an outfit.
You were in a metal band, weren't you?
Like a new metal band.
Oh, yeah.
And but I was an idiot, and I didn't put in the input all the way. So
you had that patch cord half in, half out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I was like looking at him like, "What's wrong with your amp, man?" And he's like, "Nothing. You're an idiot, you know." So yeah,
run it over.
Yeah, totally. As a kid, I just love to think of you don't know what you're doing, but there's a fearlessness in doing it. Like, I'm gonna get on stage and play. I don't know how. I don't really know how my gear works, but I'm gonna do it.
I'm a firm believer. I try to go to a lot of local shows and try to go see a lot of bands, and I'm a firm believer that you can miss out a lot on talent if you just play with a whole lot of passion. And you think about some of the greatest bands of all time. A lot of their music isn't really that complicated. It's like not every band's Rush. They're not overly
very
complicated. They just played with a butt ton of passion, right?
Yeah. That's I feel a door that opens for young kids when they get into punk and some metal. For me, it was new metal because it's I can do that. Yeah. It's not overly complicated. I literally could cover this song, which means I could do my version of an original of it, which opens that door. So I know what you're saying, man.
That's definitely the beginnings of being a young musician, is figuring out, finding the cover songs that you want to play, and then from there, once you learn those, you start realizing that you have your own artistic potential. You can start creating your own stuff, and I think there's a big kind of covers are just kind of a no word in something. It's I think there's a lot of musicians who are oh, I don't want to cover anything. I only want to play my own music. There's a snobbery with it, where it's no, you can do your own artistic rendition of a cover.
No one's 100% original either, right? Everyone's pulling from something.
Well, yeah. I'm trying to remember. It was Nick Hornby who said about the Gaslight Anthem. I think it's on the inside of the handwritten cover. I'm trying to remember the full quote. It was if you want to be original, you could get some Japanese guy to rap over some stuff while you play flute underwater backwards, and it can be something nothing anybody's ever heard before, or you can say that you listen to the Beatles, say that you listen to the Clash, say that you listen to Bruce Springsteen. Feel like you can stand up next to those guys and just play. And when you do that, you're amazed at just how original you sound.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. So I guess last question would be, why is music important to you?
For me, it's just an expression. It's something that I couldn't not do. I know that sounds cliche and everybody says it, but if I didn't have the outlet that was music to express myself, then I'd just be I couldn't just end up being a mindless drone. It would bother me. I have things to say. I gotta say them, and I know that means maybe not a lot of people listen. But it doesn't matter because I just need to say it, and I just happen to say it with 4 chords and yelling a bunch. So
wow, yeah. That's great, man. That's kind of it. That's all I have.
Thanks, man.
Shit, thank you, man. Here. So what was your name again?
My name is Megan.
Okay, Megan. Nice to meet you. So I ask everybody tonight, punk rock and music was important in your life, I'm assuming, because you're here now and you don't have to be here. You could be on the couch. But when you were a kid, I've been asking about first shows, but I could also ask first bands, or when you were a kid, what was either a show or a band or something that really kind of swung you in this direction to love music and to follow it? Was it a show? Was it a band?
It's a great question. I grew up where my dad was a huge musical influence on me. I've always grown up music playing in the car, in the house, all the time. Just a big thing. And my dad actually brought me to a lot of shows when I was younger. So I was that little kid that was always out of place at shows with adults.
What kind of shows? What do you take you to?
Rock shows, that kind of thing, like dad rock.
Like
David Wilcox.
Okay.
Yeah.
Max
Webster.
Yeah, Max Webster.
I've seen Max Webster, Kim Mitchell,
dad
multiple times. Too many times. So it was just a very, very big influence on my life. I can't think of a single band, though, that would have swung me in that direction, because I've been influenced from so many sections.
From when you were really young, too?
When I was really young.
Yeah.
Just to go to shows like this. In my teens, Cambridge had a venue called the 515 that put on a lot of...
515. Was that up on Guelph Ave? No.
It was almost by Guelph. It's up on Queen Street, or was up on Queen Street.
Yes, by
in
the
Heswood.
corner store.
Yes, there was a Daisy Mart right
yes,
there.
the 515. Yes.
And they put on a lot of all ages shows. And I started going there in my spare time. My dad went out. He was one of those parents.
Did that get to a point where it was weird, or is it still cool?
No, it was cool. Like, all of my friends really liked my dad. My dad was always down to like drive the whole van full of my friends up to the show.
That's cool.
So it was just a very a good experience.
Yeah,
because he was
yeah.
very supportive of getting us out to shows, that kind of thing.
Because he was a music lover. Was he like a musician, or he just like a fan of music?
He wishes he was.
Okay.
He never ended up like learning how to play, that kind of thing. Try as he might, he just couldn't get it down.
But he loves
music.
music.
So he just supported everything. When I kind of expressed interest in playing, he sent me for lessons right away.
What did you play?
I played bass.
Okay, cool.
A little bit of keyboard, but
Did you go to Hey, well, we should all aspire to like. I don't think I've ever met someone who's been like, I'm the greatest at what I do, or I am good at what I do. Was it at L&M, or where'd you do lessons?
I did lessons actually it was called Macaulay's Music.
Oh, yeah.
In Preston.
Yep.
And then actually after in high school, I got a job up at, it was called Classical Guitars and Accessories. It was right down the street from the 515 at the time.
Okay.
And it turned into Pop's Music Shop. It's still there.
Okay.
So my very first job ever was selling guitars, drum equipment, that kind of thing.
So you've like, from a little kid, have been surrounded by music, and it's played a big part.
Yeah.
In now, when you were a kid, did you identify it as like because I don't know what kind of like I guess dad rock you were listening to, but was it more of a way to be connected to your other friends, or was it more of a thing like an outlet to point like angst and youth like rage at?
It was definitely a little bit of both. I didn't have a whole lot of friends growing up, so listening to music was definitely something that was very personal to me. I did a lot of it. Getting into heavier music, it was definitely kind of that like angsty teenage, like these bands really get my feelings. Type thing. But it was also a way to connect with my dad, because even though he listened to dad rock, when I started getting into like heavier music, the punk, the metal scene, because my dad's also really into punk.
Okay.
Like Clash, like all of those, the older punk bands. He's a huge
Loves
fan.
it. Okay.
He also he changed his like listening to kind of suit that. He was listening to the metalcore bands that I was listening to at the time, like trying to be that like supportive dad. And he's probably a bigger fan of that now than I am currently.
Of that style.
Of that style.
Huh.
So he kind of stuck with that. It was weird to have my 50-plus-year-old dad listening to music that 15-year-olds do, but...
Did you ever like? So you play in a band now?
No,
okay.
I never have.
Is it just for lack? Like, why not? You know?
It was just lack of putting like real time and effort into playing, that kind of thing. I've been supported with it. Like Berto, you interviewed him earlier. My boyfriend, he's in a band currently. He's always been kind of there. So.
Do you want to though? Like, cause you can. Like, I feel like metal and punk. You can get into it without really, like I did anyways. I didn't really know what I was doing, but I could mimic certain bands, and like you still could.
Yeah, it's something that recently I've been putting a little bit more thought into than I ever have in the past. It's just kind of finding other people that would like to do it with me, that kind of thing. Making up for my lack of experience and finding somebody who's willing to take that on.
Yeah. Do you feel like you're missing out on anything because of not being in a band? Because you can go to a show and participate the same as a band. They're different things, but it's the same. It's under the same umbrella.
Yeah.
So
it's definitely something that I am interested in experiencing, because I'm sure it's a completely different side being on the other side of the crowd. So it's something that I have been putting some thought into.
Yeah, I definitely try to tell people to do a band, only because we live in a day and age where garage band, you can do pretty much everything, and all the tools are there to do it. So like, you know, you could program some drums and grab a mic and just grab your phone and scream into it or something. Like, it's totally possible. Now, so it almost seems like your dad kind of instilled you with some, you know, good taste. Other bands that you still listen to from your youth?
Oh yeah, like I still like listen to Floyd and like Rush on like a I wouldn't say like consistent basis, but it's something that it comes on the radio or I hear it, or one day I'll wake up with a song in my head and I'll put it on. It's just something that I never truly grew out of, even though I don't spend a lot of time on it anymore.
So in day to day, where is music in your life? Is it because it seems like it was part of your building blocks as a kid, but today, more as an adult, is it like a ritual thing in the morning, or all day you're listening to music, or like how does it play out for you?
Yeah. Throughout the day, it's from the moment I sit in the car to go to work, the moment I sit in the car to come back from work, all at home, that kind of thing.
It's always kind of on.
It's always there. Music's huge right now because we have the scene in our in Kitchener, Waterloo, Cambridge it's growing, it's emerging. It was very small, and it's starting to kind of come back a little bit now to what it once was. So even aside from just listening to music, it's something I'm always thinking of, like the next show that we're going to, the next show that we're helping organize. What bands would fit best on what bill, that kind of
So
thing.
you're helping in the throwing shows in the back end of...
like with like Zegma Beach Records and even 3-9s, that kind of thing, like helping drive out to pick up equipment to dub more tapes, that kind of thing.
What do you think about cover charges? Like, what is enough to charge someone to get into a show?
It's hard because people don't want to and can't necessarily afford to pay what you'd like them to pay to get into a show, because ideally you want to pay bands as much as you can, because gas is expensive, food's expensive, touring is hard.
Yeah.
Recently we've had a lot of success doing a pay what you can sliding scale.
Okay.
Suggested donations from $5 to $10 depending on what. We've had success with that. We've had people pay $20 to get into a show. We've had people pay $2. And we've had bands go home with more money than we have ever been able to give them with the suggested donation. So that's working out really well for us now.
Yeah, that seems to work. Because you will have the people who overpay, or who knows, like why they might pay 10 versus 5. But I just think it's a shame when there's a $5 cover, only because $5 covers are like 30 years in the running. So it's weird that it hasn't adjusted, and it's live, like in a world of internet and a disconnect. Live music is such a real, almost old art, performing arts.
Yeah, like there's so many kids, like I have siblings as well that didn't kind of latch on to it the way that I do, or I did, but why go out to a show and spend your time and money there when you can just turn on your computer and it's all on Bandcamp, right?
Yeah. There's so much value in...
You're just like losing the magic of sitting in a sweaty crowd, watching people like scream their lungs out on stage.
Yeah.
And there's something that I will never get over that. Like I don't, like listening to music that's like pre-recorded online is nothing like going to a show to me. I'd rather go to a show every single time.
Yeah.
But it is a shame that inflation hasn't caught up with the cover charge prices, at least in America. I know Japan, you go to a show like that, it's $35 to get in.
Yeah, interesting. It's a sliding scale seems to work though, because like I've experienced, because I play, and any show that I've done like that, we get taken care of. We get our gas and more, because there's still people who support it and want to support it, right? Like want to give you their money, and maybe they can't always, but yeah, you have the people who are throwing $20 in when they don't have to.
Yeah, like people, when you give them the sliding scale option, most people will pay the $10 to get in.
Yeah.
But you're still getting that person that maybe like they got sick that week, their paycheck was a little light, they had $5 in their pocket. Initially, they wouldn't have gone out to see the show, and you would have lost that $5 head charge. True. And you got that $5 anyways from them. They got to see the show. You helped them out. Next time, maybe they'll pay the full price, maybe even more with the suggested donation because they got in the last time for less.
Very true. Yeah. Well, I guess lastly, Why is music important to you?
Music's everything at this point. It expresses a feeling. It can fix my mood. It's a great way to connect with people. Being in this community, you get to see and meet a lot of people that you never would have in your day-to-day, like going to work, working your 9-to-5 job, going home kind of life. I have so many friends that I have now that I never would have had without it. So it's a very big community, family feeling that I would feel really lost without. And
that seems to, like, I asked this to everybody, and that's kind of a big highlight of why it's important, is being part of something. Nobody wants to be alone, and people might be lost and feel like they're not maybe worthwhile, but I know for me, like, being part of that, I remember when I moved here, I was so excited to be part of a community, because, like, you know they care about you, and you care about them, and it's like, yeah, you just feel less, like, we're like animals, right? Yeah. So you don't want to be left behind and eaten by a fucking jaguar or something.
Yeah. It's just nice to have the support, even if it isn't music related. Like if you needed a ride somewhere, if you needed something, I've got something I could go up, and somebody that maybe I've only met a couple times online, met a couple times at a show, might pop up and say like, "Hey, I can do that for you."
Yeah, it's really important. Yeah, that's kind of it. That's all I really had, man.
Perfect.
Cheers, thank you.
No problem.
All right, sweet. So I'm Steve, man. What's your name?
Josh. Sorry.
Josh, that's okay. Josh, nice to meet you, man.
Nice to meet you, Steve.
So we're here at a punk rock flea market. I see you have some shirts and some tats, so it's like, you're obviously a music fan or a punk rock fan. I think of when you were a kid, like, was there, what was your introduction to, like, having a passion for music? Because people can go one way or the other. People passively just listen to the top 40 on their radio, that's fine. But, you know, you're at a punk rock flea market, so is there a show? Is there a band? Is there a concert? Something when you were a kid that you remember as kind of standing out as like, oh, that really was important for my path to where you are now as a music lover.
Yeah. I mean, music has always been in my life, and, you know, I did the old piano lessons, the grade 8 conservatory piano stuff. So everything from classical to listen to my parents' music, the
what
Beatles,
did they listen to? Okay,
the Beatles, the Moody Blues, Cat Stevens. So there's a lot of stuff that I grew up listening to. In high school, I sort of tried to find my own niche.
Yeah.
And I was drawn to the heavier stuff. So I sort of started off with the metal side of things, but the whole 80s metal thing just never really caught on to me.
Okay.
And the instant I heard the Offspring Smash album, I knew I had found my home. So it was punk rock from there.
That's a great album, eh?
Yeah.
I feel like that album still holds up to today.
Well, and then I went back from there backwards to Ignition, and that was also a great album.
Never heard that one. No, I only really did. I feel like Smash was so big that I was more of a nu metal kid. That it bled into like that, where it's like, well, that's actually before I kind of got into nu metal, but that record was a huge record. Smash.
Yeah, it was. And yeah, for me, it was. I mean, I'm still stuck in the '90s punk era. That's where I kind of found my heart, and so it's all like Rancid and NoFX and Social Distortion, all those guys. So.
Do you remember your first gig you went to? Like a punk rock, it'd be at a local or a non-local thing?
God,
I think for me, I went to this band called C Spot Run, which were basically like cancore, like they were on Much Music, and they had a music video. And I just think, because I play music, and I tour, and I book things, and I think like, so this band played my little rinky-dink town, which was between Thunder Bay and Winnipeg.
What was it?
Fort Francis. It's like 9,000 people.
Yeah.
And they played our high school, so the high school students like all sat in the chairs, and they were in the auditorium, and just like, that was my introduction to like a live show, but it was, for me, weird, for them, weird, but I remember it as being like, oh, this is cool. This is like the first time I've seen live music.
Yeah, I guess that for me, the first big live show was Metallica at the amphitheater in Toronto.
How old were you?
I was maybe 21-ish.
Okay.
So that was sort of the first big show for me, and I've just seen so many punk bands over the years. I don't really remember what my introduction there was, but that was kind of a standout one for me in terms of my early concert going.
Yeah, it's. How about recently? Do you still go out to shows? And like, I don't go as much as I used to, but like, what's something recently you saw that was pretty cool?
About 2 nights ago, I guess I was in Kitchener at the Elements seeing Pennywise and Strung Out.
Oh, cool!
So
wow.
that was just I think 2 nights ago. But
now, are you like I'm 35?
I'm 42.
Okay, so going to shows, do you feel like an older guy?
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah, I kind of start to feel that too. Like I still play, right? So I'll play like a basement show, and I'm like, wow, like there's kids here who are like 18. Like I'm almost twice as old as them.
Right.
So like a punk show like that, are you, like I don't know if you're in the pit or not, but are you just kind of like...
yeah.
You're in the pit?
I'm still there. I mean...
Beating on little kids, fucking elbows to the head?
Nah. Just picking them up off the floor.
Yeah. Stay in school, kid.
It does feel weird, though. I mean, these kids could literally be my kids, right?
Yeah,
so it is a weird thing. And you see the bandmates, or the people playing on stage, too. Half of them are senior citizens now, and they're still doing their thing up on stage, too, right? So it's pretty wild.
It's wild that, like, I feel both of us still participate in what kind of seems like a youthful thing, going to shows, punk rock. But do you, at this point, you obviously, do you question it at all? Like, man, like, why do I still, it must mean something to you, right? To still participate.
Yeah, there's nothing like live music. And I don't care what the genre is, everything from classical to jazz to hardcore to metal and punk. Live music, there's something about it that really gets to me. And
what is it about it that gets to you?
I don't know. It's something. It's an artistic expression that really gets right inside of you. Like you feel there's emotions being portrayed by the artists on stage, and there's emotions that are being felt by people listening to it, and they're not all the same for everybody. But there's something about that. But at the same time, too, as much as you're feeling your individual feelings about the music, there's also a shared experience with the group of people that you're with, that you're in the pit with. There's this immediate bond with the people that are in the pit with you, right? And yeah, there's this whole mix of feeling like you belong somewhere for a minute, and just the feelings that are being given to you by the artists on stage as well.
Yeah, wow. When you're not at a show in a community like that, do you feel... like, I don't really feel this. This might be a stupid question, but do you feel more alone? Like, when you're on your own listening to music, or is it kind of the same thing? Because you're still connecting to the artist, right? And when you're at a show, you're connecting with the artist, but there's also, like, strangers and people that you're connecting with. Like, do you have a preference, or is it just the same for you?
So when I'm at home listening to music, the
or
difference?
going to shows. Like, because I feel like as I'm getting older, I can appreciate an album at home that sounds good, sometimes maybe more than going out, paying cover, buying a beer, having sore legs. Like, I literally have a bad back from standing for too long. So
I'm the same way. I can't stand up for very long before my back starts aching. So
I guess what I'm getting to, like, what do you prefer more at this point? Sitting at home listening to a good record, or going to a show?
I mean, my personality is a completely introverted loner to begin with, so I naturally would like to sit at home in my room and listen to music, but when I can force myself to get out there to the show, there's just something magical about it that, when I overcome my social anxieties and my natural hermit-like tendencies, when I put myself in that environment, you just can't beat the feeling you get when you're seeing the live show. For me, it's just, there's nothing like live show. Sitting at home listening to it doesn't do it for me to nearly the same extent as being at the live show.
Word. Do you play too, or?
No.
Is it a thing where do you want to, or did you ever pursue it, or because you're passionate about music, obviously, and I am too, and there's both sides of it, or you perform it or you consume it.
Yeah.
But it's kind of a question of how come either or do you just don't really think twice about it?
I mean, my big dream when I grow up is to be a vocalist in a punk band. I mean, that would be the dream for me, for sure. Mm-hmm. I've just never bothered to pursue that.
It's definitely easier said, I think, than done, too,
Sure.
because you got to find people and rehearse, and that's the hardest thing, I think, finding the right people, right?
That's it. I mean, you put yourself into a situation where all of a sudden you're with this small group of people, for a lot of time, and you're creating art together, you're doing really intimate things together, and so yeah, it almost feels like you would need that connection first before the band came along, right?
Yeah.
To a certain extent.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
Man.
I mean, I'm just guessing. You're the one with the experience playing.
Well, no, I know what you're saying. It definitely would be nice to know someone before, but yeah, I've been fortunate where I have good people that luck of the dice, like roll of the dice.
Yeah.
I met like good people that aren't crazy, but you hear stories of bands with like the one guy who's insane or whatever, man. Like, it's definitely.
So what's your role in the band then, in terms of what you're doing now?
Like musician, like the drums. I play the drums and do some vocals, and then try to do like the back end of like booking or whatever.
So you sort of put it out there that you were looking for a band to play drums in, and you found a group of.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Yeah, because I started in high school and I moved here from like Thunder Bay area with my guitar player. So it was in high school, just like, you know, you hear word of who plays what. So then we ended up here, and by luck, it's kind of crazy. I moved to Cambridge from back home, and I met my wife in Cambridge, and then also met my bass player now, who's in like I'm in a two-piece band.
Okay.
And just luck of the draw. Like me and my guitar player that moved down here with were like, we need a drummer or a bass player because I could play bass or drums. And just his little brother was a fan of the band, and just like he knew we were looking for someone. So it wasn't. I don't know. We didn't post anything. It just word of mouth, and I don't know. It worked out somehow.
Wow, cool.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I guess this is your show now.
No, I'm just as curious about you too. So.
It's cool, man. Is there it's kind of a broad question, but like without music, why is it important for you? Why at 40? Why are you 42?
42, yep.
Like, you know, are you still as enthused about punk rock as you were when you were a kid, and why?
Music has always been my emotional expression, I guess. I mean, not to get into a huge sob story, but I had a tough childhood, a lot of abuse, a lot of health problems.
Okay.
So when I found music, that was the way I could emotionally express myself. And to a certain extent, it's still the same today, I would say. That's kind of where I can sort of get out those emotions that are there. And, you know, people like to refer to heavy music like punk and metal as angry music, but for me, it's not the case necessarily. It's strongly emotional, and sometimes it's anger, often it's anger, but it's also a wide range of emotions that you can feel. And so I still get that out of music. You know, it's you talk about the live experience, and it is weird having that shared experience with people that are much younger than me. It doesn't quite feel like the same connection. I have an increasing intolerance for your kind of drunk university kid.
Me too.
That are there, sort of around you.
Yeah,
but,
I hear you, man.
But there is still that aspect of it where I can experience that emotional outlet.
Yeah. It's the word therapeutic gets used a lot, but for me it is the same too. Like, it's a way for me to be kind of self-confident and like be competent at something. I read this book. I just talked about this on a podcast recently. Called Tribe.
Tribe.
Sebastian Junger. Now, like, some people might roll their eyes because like I listen to Rogan too. Joe Rogan, he has like a really big podcast.
I was just listening to one of the episodes on the way here. Yeah.
Okay, I like it, and some people don't, but whatever. He had this guest, and the book was called Tribe, but he said one thing that everybody needs in it, and it's the self-determination theory, where everybody wants to feel confident, everybody wants to feel authentic, and everybody wants a connection to others. And I feel like that's kind of music. Like, you know, competence might even be in your own personal taste of knowing you're competent in what you like. Like, I don't know. Competence is, for me, is like I feel like I'm a good musician. You know, or at least I'm putting my best foot forward. So it's like these pieces of the triangle that people need, that music gives us to help us basically just feel better.
Yeah, and as an artist and a performer yourself, you're putting yourself up on stage. You are putting your art out there, so it would take a certain degree of confidence to be in that position, to put yourself out there for people. I mean, I've just started dabbling with a YouTube channel, and you know, just putting yourself out there in front of people, it takes a certain amount of confidence, knowing that there are going to be all sorts of reactions to that, and not all positive. So that's I can see that.
Yeah, it's definitely something that I want a version of this. I want people to experience something that they can participate in with other people and share that sort of community and comfort and safety that like people, I don't think anybody wants to feel alone or isolated, you know? So that's like the whole idea behind this is just talking about the community and why it's important and why it should continue. And if people hear this and get inspired to start a band or start a podcast or just support each other, then I think like I did something good. So.
Well, that's the other major difference with the live experience versus sitting at home listening to music. We live, obviously, in a world that's increasingly isolated, where you are sitting a lot by yourself with your electronic devices, experiencing life through some sort of screen.
Yeah.
So that live experience sort of takes you back to a time when people would get together to have a shared experience of something, right?
Yeah.
So I think there's something really healthy about that, and something we should be getting back to more.
Yeah, I agree. Well, even a conversation, like in a world of texting, a conversation is a lost art sometimes.
Yeah.
So
it's
I
true.
don't know. Yeah. Well, that's kind of all I had, man.
That's
Cheers.
awesome.
Cheers, man.
Yeah, cheers. I appreciate it.
Yeah. But you can take this one here.
I get the red one?
Yeah, I'm Steve. So.
Hi, I'm Olivia.
Olivia, nice to meet you. So this punk rock flea market is cool because that ethic of DIY or whatever, you can see it, right?
Yeah.
People are doing their own sort of thing. And there's like a branch of that of people who create or people who consume, which is, you know, I don't know if you make art or not, but like most people either consume it or not. But I feel like at some point when you were a kid, music and maybe that ethic like kind of like stuck its claws in you, maybe not, or maybe it did. But when you were a kid, do you think of a band or a show or a concert or something that was like, oh, I remember that, and that it was like the first of many shows or the first of many albums that you bought or something like that?
Yeah, okay.
Anything that stands out?
I mean, my first album ever was Metamorphosis by Hilary Duff, so like a real classic.
Hey, are you
right?
HMV or where'd you get it?
Probably HMV, right? I don't know. I feel like when I was growing up, a lot of it was like I was already moving out of like CDs and buying like hardcore CDs. So it was like all online.
Okay.
And iTunes was just like becoming the thing.
So is it a thing like that, the Hilary Duff thing, like you're a kid and you buy it at the record store, but that even in itself, I feel, when you're buying your own music, that it's like, I own this. I can play this whenever I want. I think there's something really special about that, especially as a kid, when you don't really have a lot of freedoms because you live at home, your parents are cooking for you, but making a choice like, I choose to buy this. Even if it's Hilary Duff or whatever, it doesn't matter. You still did it, right?
I feel like, too, a lot of it for me was like the big shiny tunes and like
Which
stuff
one?
like that. I want to say 12. I don't know why. I don't think that's right. But
no, I'm sure you're
like
right.
That, right.
I'm a little older, so I remember Big Shiny Tunes 2. I remember the second one. Yeah.
I don't know about that. I don't know if I remember that one.
Fuck. Actually, I should think of all those tracks that are on there and think of how many bands are still bands doing it. Probably
That's
not that many.
Question. I feel like it was such a 2000s thing that it just... I want more, CDs where I get a little bit of everything. Where'd that go?
True. How do you consume your music these days? Like most people, I think, do Spotify.
Yeah, I do Spotify.
Do you do Apple Music too, or?
No, I can't afford that.
You don't like
one
Apple?
One or the other.
Okay.
I can't afford both.
Afford both.
Yeah.
They're basically the same thing.
Yeah,
though, right?
absolutely. I feel like some of them have exclusives where you can't get everything on one or the other.
True.
But that's it.
Do you have a music collection at home, or is it mostly just digital at this point?
It's mostly digital at this point.
Does that bother you at all? Like, because I think I have a hard drive, and if it disappears, it disappears.
Yeah.
And like physical music's expensive,
Yeah.
but it's expensive. And when I can do it, I will.
Yeah.
But like, where do you think about that with like your digital collection? Do you want more physical, or is it just? I know it's easier just to have 8,000 songs.
Yeah.
But do you think past like owning? Like, do you want to own physical, or where are you at?
I would love to own physical copies. I mostly have no money and no space at the moment.
Yeah.
But I like mostly I like the artwork that comes with it, and I like kind of the more in-depth view that you get with the hard copies.
Totally.
And I think all of that's there for a reason, and and so being able to see all of that together is kind of a special experience.
It is. And I feel like a lot of people miss out on, so if you're an artist and you make the music, but then there's also the visual part of it, the artwork. There's so many other layers of it that a lot of people miss out on.
Right.
But I get it at the same time.
I
like
know.
if you don't have space or the money, I don't really have the money. I definitely own physical, but I have a lot of digital.
Yeah.
But in this day and age, it's curious to think of how people consume and where the physical format, where it is in the hierarchy. You know, I could ask everybody here, and I'm sure they'd have a different story.
Well, I think that's the whole thing of going back to records too, right? Is people want the physical copy because they miss that relationship.
Mm-hmm. Are you like? So you own CDs. At what point did you stop buying CDs?
Oh my god!
Like recently or a long time ago?
Long time ago.
Yeah.
I just don't have anywhere to play CDs anymore.
It's the reality of it. And like I'm a musician, and I'm in that sort of boat where it's like trying to get people to trying to make their music available, but also seeing a return. You want people to get your music, but then sometimes it's a question of if we should press physical or not. Now, if say you went to a show and you saw a band, would you think less of them if they didn't have a physical copy on their merch table?
No, I don't think I would.
No, eh?
Because I think it's also so much easier in this day and age to release things on iTunes and Spotify and stuff like that.
It is.
And then people can buy like singles. They can just buy one of the songs they really like. Like it's just it's kind of more freedom.
It is. Yeah. It's a real interesting topic. Like I ask a lot of people about it, and I get different answers. I got a couple more questions. I don't want to keep you here for like fucking 40 minutes. Okay. When it comes to like going to a live show, like I don't know if you do or not, but in the past, why is that special? Why is like a live performance something that people still will pay $20 to go see? Why do you, for you, why is a live show or a live setting special? Because you could sit at home with really good headphones or, you know, comfortable on your couch and still consume the music. But do you have a preference, or like, do you think the live setting could ever go away with the ease in which you can listen to it at home and stuff? What do you think?
I think it would be a much bigger shift to completely lose like a performance aspect of it, because for me that's why I like live shows. Like I like the energy from the band or the artist. I like the energy from the crowd and like just kind of the atmosphere, and I think that is not something music can really lose or can afford to. I don't know.
I would like to think that that will be around for a long time. It's such an old art. Like I think of like movies in like Greece, and there's a big like Colosseum, and there's a show, you know, whatever it is. I think with movies, people still pay for movies. We could watch movies right here on this, you know.
You can stream it illegally, and
but
for
it's
free.
still a thing that people will pay money for. So, okay. Last question would be, why is music important to you? Why do you think it's important? Why do people still do it?
I think it's like the easy answer is like it's an escape, right? Like you get to focus on this one thing, but like you also kind of create your own space in it, where you don't get to do that as much with shows and TV, because you have the visuals, you have the audio. It's like a full immersive experience. Whereas I feel like with music, you kind of make your own experience, and that's why it's so different for everybody.
That's a good point, because I have my version of reality, which is my history and like how I filter the world. But everyone could be at the same punk rock show, but getting a different experience.
Right?
It's interesting.
That's good.
But that's kind of it, man. That's basically the show.
Cool.
Questions here. I'm Steve. I guess I'll start.
I'm Derek.
Derek, nice to meet you, man.
I gotta hold it up like this.
Whatever. Yeah, I put it about right here.
Okay.
Wait, were you just getting off work?
Yeah.
Cool.
Dropping off some USBs to Nick over there.
Oh, you're with Nick?
Yeah.
Oh.
I know Nick at least.
Oh, okay. Yeah, shit. Nick made me some pins here.
He's a good guy.
Yeah, he is a good guy.
Makes buttons for everyone in Guelph, basically.
So are you just like, are you coming here to support Nick, or like do you go to shows around here? Like,
I go to shows around here. I was actually a vendor for one of these things.
Oh, what are you doing? Like,
I'm an artist, designer.
Okay.
Slash writer /
Cool.
creative individual.
Well, that's great. That's what this whole show is about, man.
Right.
I find it inspiring, like this shit, when people are trying to not just fucking work a 9 to 5, right?
Exactly.
Like, that. I don't know. I feel like at least my parents or our parents are of an ilk that are they giving you Braz about your shirt or what?
Oh, I just am required to tuck it in at my 9 to 5, but that's so unlike me.
But like, if you being a creative person, I find stuff like this inspiring. The trying, because it'd be easy to not try. It'd be easy to not pursue something that you not know, but you feel like won't make any money back. And that's like comedians, musicians, painters, writers. So I find it. The root of it, like when you were a kid, at some point you kind of became a creative person, right? Now, was that a band or was that a movie or like something, do you think, to your youth that stands out as kind of like, oh, that inspired me to try music, try art, try something like that?
It was honestly just about everything. I was in a communications class in high school.
Okay.
And I tried out GarageBand. I loved playing around with GarageBand. I tried out Photoshop. Hey, I'm pretty good at Photoshop. Tried out all that stuff and even made a few movies. I like being creative. It's not channeled to one direction. And I've been told the metaphor of a gun. If you have a gun, you got this explosion, but it's contained in a barrel. And that directs the bullet somewhere. I'm unfortunately just a loud pop that doesn't actually go anywhere. But I need to take a bit of direction, but yeah.
But it's still something you like feel obliged to do. Like like if you couldn't do it, you would like really have a hard time. Like, how does it help you? How does being creative help you kind of like day to day?
It's helped me through some of the toughest times of my life, just being able to write something down or just express something visually, just to get it out of the brain and get it out of the heart on a page. You know?
I've heard that. My buddy once told me, I was like upset about something. He said, just write it down and then even just throw it away. Like physically doing that I didn't do it. I should have done it. I didn't do it. But I've heard that before.
Even certain breakups and whatnot. I wrote some of the best poems I ever wrote, let's say, but I burned them after, you know? But I just needed to get that
Still helps, right?
Yeah.
So as far as like music, do you write music too? Like you were saying you use GarageBand? Are you, like, I feel like as we're kind of older and working 9 to 5s or whatever, we don't really have the time to get out as much and like go to shows. Like, is that something you still have time to do?
I always give as much as I can. I love Guelph is an amazing city. A lot of people wonder like what's there to do, just go downtown, go to bars. No, go see some of the local shows. Go see some of the local shows. You have some of the best talent located around this area. You got Toronto, which is obviously a big hub, and just in general, the Golden Horseshoe.
Yeah. Well, I moved here for that reason because I grew up like middle of nowhere between like Winnipeg, Thunder Bay. Like I grew up right in the middle, like nothing anywhere. And moving here was like there's so much to do and so many scenes. So you still make an effort to get out.
Actually, I don't know where he is, but Derek behind the bar. He was just rocking that stage last night as White Girl Wasted.
Oh, word.
Yeah.
On Jimmy Jazz.
Yep.
I played here a couple times. It's a cool spot.
Nice.
It's cool because it's free cover.
Yeah.
So you get, people like, what's happening? But it's kind of like this. People just roll in. It's kind of cool. But I wanted to ask you about just live music and like what do you get out of seeing live music personally?
Live music, you can't take the essence away. I can listen to an album, and an album might be crisp and polished, and it might be mint and spot on, but there's a certain energy about live music in particular. You can feel the energy more.
So it's I guess like listening, because I've been asking people, like, you could easily listen to records at home, obviously live is better, but it's like what
I feel records is listening through your brain, and being in person is listening through your heart. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Way more physical, like even in that.
Yeah. The music is hitting you straight on. You know?
Yeah. I guess last question would be why, for you, specifically music, because this is mostly a music podcast. But like, why is it important for you? Why is music important to you?
There's so many quotes that come to mind, but
give me 5 of them. I know, whatever.
Well, you got the classic Bob Marley, "One thing about music, when it hits you feel no pain." Drake then ruined that. But no, just in general, music is such an important thing in general. It's so important that one of the greatest musicians of all time was deaf. Like Beethoven, you know what I mean? And he still figured out a way to implement that in.
Yeah, it's a powerful thing, man, because like we're some people here are young, some people here are old, but for me, I feel like I'm gonna be participating in it till I'm dead. Yeah. Like it's such a pillar of what makes me up, and I know other people, it's the same way with them.
Well, that's the thing, like when you see a lot of the live music, it's a completely different experience. You hear things on the radio, and oftentimes the radio is music, but it's not really like true music to the essence of what it should be. It's a product. When you start to dig below the surface and meet some of like the bands around your city or anything like that, that's when you start to see music the way it's intended. Music that I don't care if 20 people hear this or like 100 billion people hear it, you know.
Yeah.
I am making music to make music.
Very real. Yeah. That's great. Well, that's kind of it, man. I just have like a few questions. So. It's a bit of an abrupt end to do it how I just did, but this is a unique episode. If you've made it this far, thank you. And just remember to support the sponsors because they support me. They make this possible. HeartbeatHotSauce.com for the hot sauce. Kevin Rigo at Hefner Toyota. Just krigo at hefner.ca. Dave Levitt Photography. Just davelevittphotography.ca. dapperbeardoil.com. Use promo code TakerWide. Free ship for the free shipping. And Wellington Brewery for the beers. I should mention too, it's TakerWide 5 for the hot sauce discount. Go to the homepage, sign up for the newsletter. I'm mailing out the episodes with extra content. You can also get more deals, better deals through the sponsors. And yeah, share, like, tell a friend. The show's picking up steam, and I'm excited about what's coming. So just take her wide. Love you guys. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next week. Peace.